Hi, my name is Melanie Dunning. Most people that know me today wouldn't be able to guess that I wrestled on the wrestling team in 8th grade. I attended Squim Middle School and very involved in school. I loved school. I was on the track team. I shot put and discus, and I was also ASB vice president. One day in my 3rd grade social studies class, my teacher, Mr. Crook, who I really liked, he was a short, bald guy, mostly bald, with a round face that when he smiled, his whole face smiled. I really liked Mr. Crook. Very nice guy. He was also happened to be the wrestling coach. At the end of our 3rd period social studies class, he made the announcement directly to the boys, excluding the girls, that tryouts for wrestling would be that day after school in the gym. He joked that girls were not allowed. I let that sit with me for a few minutes before I started to think of I felt that it was unjust, unfair, that girls were not allowed. We didn't have the opportunity if we wanted to. So I showed up to tryouts that day, and I was laughed at. And eventually I was offered a job scorekeeping. I didn't want to be scorekeeper. To tell you the truth, I knew nothing about wrestling. I'd never been to a match. I knew nothing about it. I had never attempted to learn anything about it. But for me, this was about opportunity, about equal opportunity. So I was told by Mr. Crook that I had to talk to the principal about it. It was against school policy for girls to be on the wrestling team. So that's what I did. I set up an appointment with the principal and Mr. Crook, and I pled my case, and they permitted me to try out. Without a guarantee of being on the team, but I did have the opportunity to try out. I showed up to all 3 days of tryouts and tried as hard as I could, and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. The first night after tryouts, I laid on my living room floor, crying. Every muscle in my body hurt. I ached, and I could barely get off the floor. But I persevered. I refused to give up, because this was something that I believed in, something that I felt was the right thing to do. On the 3rd day of tryouts, they had their list of who would be making the team, and all my hard work paid off because I made the team. I remember not all the boys on the team were happy. A lot of them were actually very upset. They didn't think that I had a right to be on the wrestling team, and they thought that I was doing it as a joke. So I was determined to prove them wrong. I tried as hard as I could, and I put all my effort forth. And before our first match, we had to do a wrestling competition among our team. We each wrestled our opponents in our weight class. There was 3 different boys in the same weight class as me, and I had to wrestle each of them for varsity position. I won all 3 matches, and I became our varsity person for that weight class. As the season continued, I continued to get stronger and put more effort in and never gave up. I tried as hard as I could, and we went to we went out of town for different matches. We went to Bainbridge Island and Bremerton, and each time I won my match. I actually won several times by pinning the boy I was wrestling. Over time, I won the respect of my teammates. They no longer were upset that I was on the team. They became very protective of me and rooted for me and were on my side. I did this because I did what I thought was right. I didn't think that it was fair for girls to be excluded if they wanted to wrestle on the wrestling team. That was the only year I wrestled. I really enjoyed my experience. It taught me that if you stand up for what you believe in, and if you do what you think is right, and you persevere, that you can change things. After the end of our season, I got recognized by the local paper and I got interviewed. And the school decided to change its policy. Wrestling became co-ed. So for several years after me, there was girls on the wrestling team. I was proud that I was able to make that change by standing up for what I believe in. So if you believe in something or you feel that something's not right, stand up, do something. You can make a difference just like the next person can make a difference. Thank you. Have a good day.